Have you ever walked past an old house and noticed something strangely placed? A tiny metal door near the foundation, a random isolated toilet in the basement, a thin wooden slot inside a medicine cabinet, or a mysterious small opening built directly into the wall, and wondered, what in the world was that used for? The truth is, before modern technology took over our homes, people solved problems in ways that today would seem unusual, bizarre, and sometimes unbelievably smart. Homes weren't designed around convenience first. They were designed around practicality, survival, climate, community, and daily lifestyle realities we no longer deal with today. Hidden all around us, in old neighborhoods, in preserved houses, and even in the places many people still live in right now, are relics of an era when innovation wasn't digital, it was physical. These are the features that once made perfect sense, but silently disappeared as society changed. So today, we're going to rediscover 30 strange home features that once shaped everyday life in America, but now barely anyone remembers. Before smartphones, before central heating and cooling, before open-concept homes and smart appliances, houses were built with completely different problems in mind. There was no instant access to information, no automated systems, no digital shortcuts. People relied on physical solutions, mechanical ideas, and clever architectural features to make daily life easier, safer, and more efficient. Back then, every space in a home had intentional purpose. Walls were thicker, rooms were smaller, privacy was valued, and every square inch of a structure was engineered to solve a real need. Nothing was for aesthetics alone. Every odd little door, strange corner feature, hidden slot, or built-in compartment existed because somebody needed it to survive that specific era of living. We forget that at one time, this country experienced harsh winters without modern insulation, food preservation without refrigerators, communication without wireless signals, and daily routines without electronic convenience. Architects and builders had to think creatively to make homes functional, using the limited resources, tools, and technology available to them. That is why these unusual home features existed. They were not bizarre mistakes. They were brilliant, practical solutions to everyday challenges in a world that operated very differently than ours today. And as time changed, as new inventions appeared, as society shifted toward faster living, many of these features quietly disappeared, leaving behind curiosities that puzzle us now, but once made perfect sense. So before we begin revealing each one, there's something important to understand. These strange home features weren't random quirks that accidentally ended up inside old houses. Each one existed because it solved a very specific need at that moment in time. They were smart. They were intentional. They were functional answers to a world that didn't yet have the luxuries and technology we take for granted today. And this is what makes them so fascinating. Some of these features made daily life easier. Some protected families from weather and dirt. Some saved time and labor when homes were run manually, not automatically. Some were created simply because the world worked differently back then. So in this journey, we're not just looking at outdated architecture. We are looking at forgotten solutions, forgotten innovations, forgotten lifestyle logic. Now we're going to explore 30 strange home features that once existed in countless American homes, features that made perfect sense at the time, but vanished as society evolved. On old brick homes, you'll sometimes see strange metal shapes, stars, S-loops, or crosses bolted right into the exterior walls. People today mistake them for fancy decoration, but they were never about style. They were structural armor. They connected to iron rods running through the walls, pulling the entire house together like invisible skeletal tendons. It was stability born from necessity before reinforced concrete and steel beams existed. Now that modern building materials carry the load, these plates faded away. What remains today are symbols, silent signatures of structural genius from a time when builders solved problems with pure mechanical logic. Near the base of old houses, a small iron door still sits, rusted, forgotten, ignored. This was the coal chute. In a world before clean energy, coal was the beating heart of warmth. Delivery men would dump coal directly through the door into the basement, and families shoveled that fuel into the furnace to survive winter. No entry into the home, no mess upstairs. Efficient, rugged, necessary. Then gas and electric heating arrived, and coal lost its throne overnight. The chute door became a relic, sealed shut as the modern world replaced effort with convenience. Inside many older homes you'll find tiny carved-in niches, like miniature shrines built right into the wall. These were phone nooks, the original communication center of the house when telephones were physical objects tied to one spot forever. The phone book sat below, notes, pencils, names scribbled. This was where news arrived, where messages mattered, where voices came alive through wires. Today, communication fits in a pocket, wireless, instant, mobile. The nook stayed behind as a charming ghost of an age where people answered the world from one single place inside their home. Before refrigerators changed civilization, ice wasn't made, it was delivered. Large frozen blocks cut from ice plants were dropped through a small exterior ice door directly into the pantry where the icebox sat. It kept milk cold, meat safe, and food alive longer than nature intended. Then the refrigerator arrived, continuous cold without delivery routes, schedules, or melting. The ice door became obsolete instantly. Now they remain embedded in old walls like fossils from a time when cold was a luxury, and someone had to bring winter to your home by hand. Hidden behind a small door in upper hallways. This was one of the greatest time-saving inventions old homes ever had. Instead of dragging heavy baskets of dirty clothes downstairs, you simply tossed them into the chute and gravity delivered them directly to the laundry room below. It was effortless workflow engineering inside a house. But then floor plans changed. Laundry rooms moved upstairs, safety codes changed, families worried kids could fall into them, and slowly, this brilliant tiny household hack vanished. Deep in basements of old Pittsburgh and other industrial cities sat a lonely single toilet. No walls, no privacy, no explanation. This was the Pittsburgh potty. Steelworkers, miners, mill laborers would come home filthy from harsh work and use this basement toilet first, before they ever stepped into the clean living quarters upstairs. This wasn't weird design. This was practical contamination control. But once industrial culture faded and homes modernized, they sealed these memories away. Today, most people don't even know why they existed. Before open-concept kitchens and massive built-in cabinetry, the pantry was the home's organization brain. Food storage, canning jars, spices, dry goods, reserve inventory. It kept the main kitchen clean because the pantry took the chaos instead. It was quiet logic that respected order. Today, open layouts and kitchen islands sacrificed this space. But the truth is, many modern homeowners secretly wish the pantry era returned, because organization never actually went out of style. One of the strangest forgotten inventions ever patented. Beds attached to counterweights, rising up into the ceiling when not in use, creating free floor space below. It was genius micro-living in the early 1900s, long before tiny homes and space efficiency became trendy. But it was mechanically complicated, risky, expensive to install, and eventually overshadowed by the simpler Murphy bed. So ceiling beds disappeared quietly, but they proved long before our generation. People already understood space optimization deeply. Before the traditional flip switch, homes used elegant little dual button switches, one button on, one button off. They felt premium, tactile, refined, but they stuck. They overheated. they weren't the safest long-term. As electricity scaled into every American home, safety standards forced them into extinction. Today, if you see one, you're literally staring at early electricity history frozen in place. Near old home entrances sits a small iron bar or cast shape close to the ground. This was how you cleaned your shoes before walking inside, because the world was dirt roads, not asphalt, horses, not cars, mud, not pavement. The scraper wasn't decorative, it was survival against disgusting flaws. Pavement, cars, sidewalks, carpets, mats replaced the need. The scraper stayed behind, as the last quiet witness of a world where every step outside got dirty. Before refrigerators existed, food security depended on the earth itself. Root cellars were dug into cool ground, so vegetables, fruits, and harvest supplies could survive entire winters without spoiling. Families relied on these dark, naturally temperature-stable storage rooms like a survival vault. But as refrigeration became effortless, temperature-controlled, and fully automated, the need to store food underground faded. What once symbolized preparation and self-sufficiency became just another forgotten chamber beneath old homes, sealed, ignored, but never meaningless. Inside old bathroom medicine cabinets, there is sometimes a small mysterious slot no modern homeowner recognizes. This slot wasn't decorative. It was a blade graveyard. Used razor blades were slid inside, falling permanently into the hollow of the wall. No danger to children, no cuts in trash, clean, simple, out of sight. Time passed, disposable razors arrived, safety containers arrived, and suddenly this hidden ritual had no purpose. Today, thousands of old homes literally have walls filled with tiny metal history, silently preserved behind plaster. Long before dishwashers, kitchen elevators, and compact appliances, dumbwaiters were the silent vertical assistants inside large homes. A simple pulley lift that transported food and dishes between floors, saving steps, labor, and time. But modern layouts changed. The kitchen moved closer to the family core. Appliances replaced household staff, and the small shaft that once felt like magic became unnecessary. Most were boarded up or turned into storage. The dumbwaiter became a retired servant of architecture. In grand homes, you will sometimes find a narrow hidden staircase tucked behind a pantry door. These were servant stairs, a completely separate circulation route, so house staff moved invisibly behind the scenes. This wasn't an architectural mistake. This was social hierarchy built directly into the floor plan. But as live-in staff disappeared and class structures changed, these stairs lost purpose. Today, they represent the physical blueprint of social rules that America doesn't operate by anymore. Some elite homes even installed tiny, hidden, foot-activated call buttons beneath dining tables or carpets. The owner could press with a shoe and silently summon staff without interrupting conversation. This was silent command, silent power, silent control. But modern families no longer run homes this way. Automation, independence, and different social values replaced it. These secret call systems now remain in old dining rooms as frozen symbols of a lifestyle built around invisible labor, a system that vanished as society evolved. Before every home had a refrigerator humming quietly in the kitchen. Fresh milk arrived daily to your house like mail. Small exterior milk doors allowed the delivery man to place full glass bottles inside, while simultaneously removing the empty ones without ever stepping into the home. It was efficient, clean, and private, but once families began storing milk in bulk inside their own refrigerators, daily delivery culture collapsed instantly. The milk door became a sealed fossil, a reminder of a time when food supply came to the house, not from a supermarket aisle. Above doors in older homes, you'll often see a slim rectangle of glass, a transom window. Before electricity and HVAC changed everything, these windows were vital. They channeled sunlight deeper into the home and acted as natural ventilation, letting heat escape upward while fresh air flowed in. They made homes livable before mechanical systems existed. But when bright electric bulbs and modern climate control arrived, the natural engineering role of the transom faded. Today, they remain as pure architectural poetry. Beautiful, silent, and underestimated, walls were once fragile plaster, easily damaged from nails. So picture rails were invented, thin molding strips below the ceiling where art could hang from hooks without puncturing walls at all. It allowed easy rearranging, redecorating, and seasonal art rotation without ruining the home's interior skin. When drywall replaced plaster and made wall damage cheaper and safer to repair, picture rails were quietly removed from standard design. Today, seeing one tells you instantly, this house remembers a time when even decorating required strategy, before phones in pockets, before texting, before wireless everything. Intercom panels built into the walls allowed communication between rooms and floors inside the house. Families talked room to room through wires, not through Wi-Fi. And in luxury homes, these intercoms made communication feel modern and futuristic. But today, smartphones, smart doorbells, video call screens, and wireless sound devices made the built-in intercom irrelevant. Most of these systems sit dead inside walls. Strange 20th century ruins of future technology that didn't survive the next version of the future pocket. Doors were mechanical elegance at its finest, sliding into the wall instead of swinging into the room. They saved space. They allowed instant privacy. They turned open layouts into closed rooms within seconds. But installing them required special framing, and modern builders began prioritizing easier, cheaper construction. So the pocket door became rare, replaced not because it failed, but because construction shortcuts beat craftsmanship. Yet ironically, in small modern homes and tight apartments, people are again realizing the old world already solved the space problem. Long before minimalism went mainstream. Step into an older home and the difference is immediate. Rooms are separated, enclosed, purpose-driven, living room for gathering, dining room for eating, parlor for visitors, bedrooms mostly isolated. Privacy and thermal efficiency were built directly into the floor plan. Closing doors meant containing heat, containing sound, containing life into smaller controlled spaces. When open concepts arrived, modern people wanted sightlines, flow, social openness, and massive shared spaces. Walls disappeared, rooms dissolved, not because the old system was wrong, but because the way we live shifted from compartmentalized routines to fluid, multi-purpose lifestyles. Before smartphones and laptops let us manage everything from couches and cars, households needed a tiny command center right inside the kitchen. Bills, mail, phone messages, school homework, recipe notes, appointment calendars, all lived in that built-in desk nook. The kitchen was the true CPU of the home. When digital tools replaced pens, ledgers, planners, and phone books, the need for a physical desk inside the kitchen evaporated. Now when this feature remains, it feels charming, but it is a portal into a time when home administration was a daily analog ritual. One of the earliest forms of electrifying America. Open-air copper wires threaded through porcelain knobs and tubes inside walls. It was revolutionary and dangerous by today's standards. It brought power to rooms when power was new, mysterious, and life-changing. But it had no grounding. Insulation aged badly, and as electricity demand exploded, this early system couldn't keep up. It eventually became the wiring equivalent of a museum fossil. Functional once, but no longer safe for the modern electric world. Today, when it is discovered, electricians treat it like an archaeological hazard. Once upon a time, the porch wasn't decorative, it was the social living room. People sat outside in evenings, neighbors talked across street lines, kids played within shouting distance. And community wasn't digital, it was lived in real time. Wraparound porches were the social bloodstream of neighborhoods. But air conditioning arrived, privacy culture increased, screens replaced face-to-face outdoor evenings. What once connected families and neighbors became unnecessary square footage to builders. The porch stayed charming, but its original purpose became a memory. Homes once acknowledged reality. Dirt happens. After farm work, factory shifts, harsh weather, kids playing outside for hours, you needed a transition zone. The mudroom was the filter portal between the dirty world and the interior. Shoes, coats, wet clothes, tools, all stopped there. Modern minimalism and smaller floor plans erased this space. Yet ironically, modern families complain more than ever about clutter at the doorway. The mudroom didn't disappear because it wasn't useful. It disappeared because homes stopped prioritizing practical life flow and prioritized maximizing visible space instead. Older homes were built around order, not minimalism marketing. There were closets with specific intention, broom closets to hide cleaning tools, and linen closets to store blankets, sheets, towels. Everything neatly categorized so nothing cluttered the main living areas. These closets gave the home structure, a place for everything. But as homes shrunk and builders squeezed cost per square foot, these specific storage spaces were sacrificed. Today, most new houses only have generalized storage, and families ironically struggle more with clutter, proving these old design decisions were born from real functional intelligence. Down in the basement or utility space sat a massive concrete sink, oversized, unbreakable, and ready for the dirtiest work the house ever faced. Washing paintbrushes, filthy work clothes, cleaning mop buckets, bathing dogs. This sink handled what the kitchen never should. It was the rugged cleanup battlefield. When modern appliances, detergents, and easier interior maintenance arrived, builders didn't consider them necessary anymore. But anyone who works with tools, mechanics, paint, gardening, or DIY today recognizes those enormous slop sinks weren't excessive. Before AC units dominated summer life, the house itself had one powerful cooling method: a huge attic fan that sucked hot air upward and pulled cool air inside through open windows. At night, this could transform the home temperature in minutes. This was natural climate engineering, long before refrigerant-based cooling. But air conditioning became cheaper, smaller, and everywhere, and the powerful attic fan faded into history. Yet ironically, in certain climates today, those old fans can still outperform AC in speed and cost. The old world often wasn't primitive. It was efficient in a different way. In the 1960s, 70s, living rooms experimented with architecture that fostered deeper interaction, not just seating. Conversation pits were sunken lounges in the floor, designed to bring people eye to eye, close together in a shared, intimate circle. They turned conversation into an event. They physically forced human presence to be focused, not distracted, not scattered. Modern safety codes and changing interior trends killed them off, but they remain one of the most visually iconic reminders that homes once tried to engineer social connection on purpose, not distraction. Older homes didn't buy storage furniture. They built it into the architecture. Shelves, glass front display cabinets, detailed moldings carved directly into the wall structure. These weren't just storage, and they were personality. They made homes feel curated, permanent, full of soul. Today, minimalism and open concept design pushed these away, replaced by flat, empty walls and temporary furniture. But built-ins told a story. The home itself was designed to store, display, and honor the things a family valued. And that's why when people see them now, they instantly feel history. They feel permanence. They feel warmth. Every single one of these forgotten home features disappeared for the same quiet reason. The world changed faster than the architecture could keep up. Technology advanced. Appliances replaced manual labor. Electricity replaced fire. Modern materials replaced mechanical problem-solving. Convenience replaced ritual. Privacy replaced community. And speed replaced patience. These old features were not removed because they failed. They vanished because they belonged to a lifestyle that no longer exists. When refrigerators arrived, the ice door became useless. When central HVAC systems took over, transom windows and attic fans lost their purpose. When drywall became cheap, picture rails were no longer necessary. When people stopped using coal, the chute door no longer mattered. When street life moved indoors, front porches stopped being the social living room. When modern wiring got standardized, knob and tube became unsafe overnight. When families stopped having live-in staff, servant buttons and servant stairways became absurd relics. Every disappearance traces back to the same force. Progress altered how people lived. Homes had to adapt to a society that moved faster, consumed differently, communicated differently, worked differently, and valued different comforts. So these features didn't die because they were wrong. They simply became victims of evolution, replaced not by better design, but by a different world, and that's what makes them powerful to look back at now. They are physical artifacts that show us exactly how much our daily life has changed, without us even noticing when it happened. And maybe the most surprising part, when we study these strange old features, we are not actually studying architecture, we're studying mindset. These forgotten details remind us of a time when homes were not just shelter, they were systems, crafted slowly, deliberately, with thought and human logic built into every corner. Every small architectural detail had a purpose, a reason, a story attached to it. People built homes for longevity, not for flipping, for practicality, not trends, for daily reality, not aesthetic marketing. These features reflect a slower America, a hands-on, problem-solving America, a version of home life where effort mattered, where neighbors mattered, where tasks took time, and where function was not hidden behind technology. Function was the technology. Today, everything is instant. Everything is digital. Everything is wireless. But these old features force us to remember what we lost along the way. The pride of building solutions with your own hands, the beauty of manual engineering before automation took over, the intimacy of home being a physical machine, not a smart device. We didn't just change our homes changed us. Looking back at these forgotten features isn't nostalgia for objects, it is nostalgia for a mindset, a culture, a slower rhythm of living, a time when homes didn't just serve us, we actively participated with them, and that is why these old features hit emotionally today. They remind us that progress always comes with a trade-off, and some parts of what we sacrificed weren't unnecessary, they were simply replaced before we even understood their deeper value. Now that you've seen these 30 forgotten home features, I want to know something directly from you. Which one shocked you the most? Which one would you actually bring back if you could redesign homes today? Would you bring back the pantry, the laundry chute, the porch culture, or the picture rails and built-in cabinets that gave character and soul back to walls? Tell me in the comments below, which one feature from the past should return in modern homes, and why? Because this question isn't just curiosity, it's the real heartbeat of this topic. The past wasn't always outdated. Sometimes the past was simply smarter in a different way. So choose just one feature, the one that hit you deep, the one that felt practical and beautiful at the same time. Drop it in the comments, and let's see what the majority believes America should have never abandoned.